the answers to this whole thing, obviously. I didn't record the first half because there's not really much to those. You kind of just put the answer, but I am recording this because these have more steps. Solving equations. Here's the pep talk for that. And it's the same one I gave you when I taught it to you. There's not any one method that works for all of them. Do you remember we wrote out a bunch of different methods? And you kind of need to just look at the problem and think, hey, what could I do here? Unfortunately, that's the way it is, okay? So when you look at this one, do you notice how they're both log base 3? Yeah. Okay, so you notice that first of all. That means you can combine them in some way because they're the same, all right? Do you see how there's a plus sign? That means you are going to multiply the stuff that's inside. If it was subtraction, you would divide. Okay, so on your scratch paper for number 30, you're going to write log base 3, leave a gap, and we're going to multiply. And I will point to it and talk you through it. So we're multiplying these two things. X times X. Perfect. Now this is also convenient for this problem. The outsides would give you minus 2x. The insides would give you plus 2x. Those cancel, so forget them. And then 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Perfect. Equals 3. That part didn't change. Are we together so far? Adding means we multiply. Yeah, you just FOILed. You distributed it all together. Now I'm stuck. Hey guys, what's the question when you are stuck? What is the base? 3. To what power? I guess that's the second question. What's the base? But then you want to go, what's the exponent? 3 equals whatever's left. So good. 3 cubed is 27. Okay, you're now saying the steps faster than I can write them. So just hold on. I need to keep everybody together. But yes, we're going to add 4. So 27 plus 4, 31. And you would square root. Now you can't log a negative number. So even though we usually put plus and minus, you're going to only do the positive square root. And you can leave it like that. I'm fine with that. Or you can type in your calculator square root of 31. However, if you do that, you need to put the correct number of decimal points or I am going to mark it wrong because that's what College Board would do. And it's the first 3 that you see. You don't have to worry about rounding. So it would be 5.567. If you put 5.568, I would accept that too. College Board would accept either one, but just get used to taking the first 3. But I think this is fine. So just like, don't worry about it. All right, let's try 31. Hey, that looks really complicated. Let's substitute out the part that looks really complicated. This would be a U substitution. What do you want to let U equal? Like, what's the nastiest part? 3 to the x is the part that you want to get rid of. So when you go to substitute in, the first term is going to be U squared. Why is it squared? 3 squared is 9. And then it would be minus 2u equals 0. Honestly, that part goes well. Here's the part when factoring something like this that throws everybody. You cannot do this. Don't write that. Why can't you split it like into 2 separate things like that? Like you have the u squared and then the u, but you don't have like a third number. Okay, so what type of factoring? It's still factoring, but it's not that type of factoring. What kind of factoring is it going to be? What have they both got? Take out, do you remember what that's called? GCF, greatest common factor? Okay. Anyway, you put a parenthesis, what's left? U minus 2. And so you get U equals 0 and you get U equals 2. Now, unfortunately, you're not done. You found U, you're supposed to find X. So go back. What did U equal? 3 to the X. So you get 3 to the X equals 0, 3 to the X equals 2, and we're going to solve those. Good news, one of them doesn't work, so that's less work. Which one doesn't work? Yeah, 3 to what power gives you 0? There is no number in the world that's going to work. Now this one, 3 to the x equals 2. There is a number, we're going to use our calculator because we can't do it in our head. But how do you cancel out the exponential base 3? You log base 3. You're going to log base 3 both sides. That's what'll cancel that out. So you get x equals log base 3 of 2. And that's what you're going to put in your calculator. Do you remember where the log base is? Math, good. Math, go find log base. Type in log base 3 of 2. You want 3 decimal points. If there's an exponential base 3, you would do a log base 3. If there's an exponential base 9, you would do a log base 9. Like, don't overthink that. That's just, you want them to camp. It's like when there's a squared, you do a square root. If there's a cubed, you do a cube root. Like, you do the thing that's going to cancel it out. All right, we're looking at 32. For this one, you're not stuck yet. Trying to get x by itself. What could you do to both sides to start trying to get x by itself? Because you got that 5 out front. Divide by 5. Good. Divide both sides by 5. You would have e to the 1 minus 4x equals 2 over 5. Don't reach for the calculator until the last step. Just leave it 2 over 5. Now, with the one we just did, oh, I wrote that wrong, didn't I? I stuck an extra negative in there. Whoopsie. 1 minus 4x. I was like, that looks really weird. When there was a base 3, we did a log base 3. Now this one's base e, so how do you cancel out e? Good, you're going to ln both sides. So you get 1 minus 4x equals ln 2/5. Again, don't reach for the calculator until the last step. Because you just want to type it all in at once. From there, you just get x alone. What would you do? Subtract 1. And then your last step, divide -4. So this is what you want to type in the calculator. Dude, I'm going to hand you a test next class. This is what you want to type in the calculator. Do you remember how to get that fancy fraction bar? How do you get the fancy fraction bar in there? It's not second. Alpha y equals. Good. Do alpha y equals. That'll give you the fancy fraction bar. Where's the ln key? Underneath the log, like kind of next to the 4. All right, so you're going to do ln 2/5, close the parenthesis, -1 divided by -4. And if anyone brave wants to let me know what they got before I hit enter, you can compare with those around you. Good, 0.479. If you got a syntax error, that means, or error, I know how to talk. That means you hit this key instead of this key. This one means subtract, this one means negative. The calculator is correcting your grammar, basically. As a further pep talk, you know how the ones in the front of this paper, you kind of just wrote all the answers? There wasn't any work, really? They're only worth a point each. What do you think these ones are worth? Like probably 4 or 5 each, because there's a lot of steps. You got to know how to do this, all right? Look at 33. Do you see how they both just say log? What does that mean the base is? Okay, but the point is they're the same. Do you see how there's a plus sign? What does that mean we're going to do with the inside? We're going to multiply them. It is the exact same as number 30. So you're going to write log, leave a gap, and then we're going to multiply the stuff that's inside. So you're going to multiply the x by the x plus 1. What's that going to give us? Good, x squared plus 1x equals log 20. Now, what else do you notice? You want to look at what you have now and think about where you would go from there. What do you see on both sides? They both say log. So since it's the same on both sides, you can just cancel them out. So you get x squared plus x equals 20. Where would you go from there? Move 20 over. What do we call this? Evacuate. Get everybody over to one side. You're going to subtract the 20. And then you're going to factor it. Now, this is the kind everybody's used to. Like, you draw your two sets of parentheses and split it apart. So, yeah, I'm hearing you guys say it. 5 and 4 plus 5 minus 4. Excellent. So you get -5, +4, but you can't log a negative number. So it will just be the x equals 4. All right, look at 34. You want to just look at it and see what you've got. Do you see how there's a 1/2 on one side and a 4 on the other side? You could make them be the same base. Now, your base is going to be a little number, like 2, 3, or 4, or 5 maybe. Okay, what could you turn them both into? Two would be a good choice. All right, we're going to make them both be 2. 2 to what power will give you a half? -1. And then the 7 minus 3x is sort of just there. But 2 to the -1 would give you a half. Now we want the other side to also be a 2. So 2 to what power gives you 4? Two. Oh, gotcha. No, we want 2 squared will give you 4. What does that achieve for us? Like, what was the whole point of that? What can we do now? Cancel the 2's. Perfect. You're just going to set these two things equal. What would you do with the negative? Distribute. It'll be -7 plus 3x equals 2. And then you're back to like an algebra 1 kind of problem. Add over the 7, divide by 3. Once you get rid of the like exponential or logarithmic part, you always get back to like an algebra 1 or algebra 2 type of problem. Looking at 35, I'm already stuck. Like, I am already stuck. So what's my question? What is the base for ln? E. The second question would be, what's the power? Like, what's the exponent? 5, good. E to the 5th equals x cubed minus 2. Like, just the stuff that's good. And then what? You want x alone, so +2. Still want x alone, that's your goal. Cube root. So it's cube roots e to the 5th plus 2. And that's what you're going to put in your calculator. Do you know where the cube root is? I heard some yeses and some nos. It's in the math menu. Basically, everything is in the math menu. If you aren't sure where to look, go to the math menu. Do you see it in there? The cube root right there. Yeah, now where's E? It's right above ln, so you have to hit second ln. It already does the exponent, so just put 5 and then plus 2. This is going to be kind of a big number because do you get the e to the 5th? Well, I guess it wouldn't be that big because it's only 2.7. But it's 2.7 times 2.7 times 2.7 times 2, like 5 times. But then I guess we cube rooted it, so I shouldn't have said that. Once you cube root it, it's going to get smaller again. I got 5.318. Can anyone confirm they also got? Okay. I like hearing you guys confirm that for me because guess what? I'm a human being, and if you button push one thing wrong, it's going to be wrong. So gotta be careful. Yeah, you know what? Jaden's just going to have to figure out his test next time. All right, 36. I'm not stuck yet. Shh. I'm not stuck yet. What would we need to do? With this 3 out front. Divide both sides by 3. The 3 is being multiplied, so we're going to divide. You would have 5 to the power 7x equals 24 divide 3. 8. Good. Now I'm kind of stuck. It's a base 5. So what would we do to both sides? Log base 5. Do log base 5 to both sides. Because it'll cancel out the 5. That's like the point. Whatever's there, you do the opposite. Because you're trying to cancel it. Like you want it to go away. So you get 7x equals log base 5, 8. And then last, divide step. Perfect. And that's what you want to type in your calculator. Yeah, exactly. But you answered your own question then. Alpha y equals, we'll give you the fraction bar. You guys need to know those equations for next time. It's where the bulk of the points on the test is. Okay. Now these next ones are your interest rate formulas. Let's review the two formulas. What's that? All right. So the first one was P parenthesis. Anyone remember? No, that's the continuously one, but we do need that one as well. That's if it says continuously. If it says like annually or semi-annually or monthly or whatever, it's the other one. All right, it is 1 plus r over n to the end. I don't know what to tell you, but again, I can't start at the beginning every class. You're going to have to bring some information forwards with you. But you have until next time to figure those out. And basically, those are your recipes. And then I give you all the ingredients and you just stick them in and slam it in your calculator. All right, 37. Find the value in an investment of $10,000. 10,000 is the principal. That's P. All right, so it'll be 10,000. Parenthesis. 1 plus. And then what's R? That's your rate. Now you can't put 5.5 though. 0.055. 5% would be 0.05. You just stick an extra 5 on the end. All right, over N. If it says annually, N is 1. If it says semi-annually, N is 2. If it says quarterly for monthly would be 12. Okay, so what is N for this one? Semi-annually, so good. It's going to be 2. And then it's to the power N times T. So that would be 2 times 5 years. Just put that in your calculator. Now, in this case, I will let you do 2 decimal points because it's money. If you put 3, that's fine as well. 2 or 3 is okay either way. Whenever they do one that's about money, they will often put in the directions round to 2 decimal points. Or sometimes if the problem is about, like recently they did a problem about fish in a lake and they said round your answer to the whole number of fish. So they took a whole number. So they'll say specifically, if they don't say, you have to put 3. Now you should get an answer that's bigger than 10,000, like bigger than what you started with, but it shouldn't be like 45 trillion. You know what I'm saying? So do we get something a little bigger than 10,000? Yeah, $13,116.51. Beautiful. Now that's if you had $10,000 that you didn't know what to do with and you stuck it in a bank account. All right, so you inherit $15,500. You have 2 options for investments. So we're going to do option 1 and we're going to do option 2. So just go ahead and label them. It's a 2-part problem because you have 2 options. Option 1, you're going to do 6.5% compounded quarterly. All right, so let's do that one. What was the amount of money we had? want 15,500. Parenthesis 1 plus good 0.065 is our interest rate there. 4 because it says quarterly. And then it's to the power 4 times however many years. What was it? 7. Okay, hold off on that for a second. We'll reach for the calculator in just a minute. Let's set up the other one. The option 2 was to invest continuously. So which formula does that mean? PERT. Okay, so it's the 15,500 E. Now this had a different rate. Instead of 6.5, it was just 6. So 0.06 times the 7 years. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to put them both in the calculator and you're going to circle the one that is more money. Or you're going to write, Ms. Cole, I choose this one, or option 1 or 2, whatever it is. But you have to indicate in some way which one you're picking so that I know. Like, it's, do you want option 1 or do you want option 2 is the question here. And it's kind of close. Here's the 2 answers I got. I'll leave my fingers there so you can see exactly where they are to check yours. But I got 24,000 and some more, and then 23,000 and some more. Can anyone confirm they got the same thing?
I got it.
Okay. So which option do we want? Yeah, the first one. So circle that one, or say I want option 1, or this is my choice, or put a star next to it. I don't know. In some way you have to indicate that's the one you want. All right, we'll just do 39 and then I'll put up the answer for 40, but I'll leave that one for you. You'll need your scratch sheet for 39. It's not all going to fit on there. So in school, you learn stuff that you then forget. Here's the idea with this problem. The moment you learn something, like the moment you learn it, you should remember all of it. Does that make sense? And then as time goes by, what's going to happen? You forget it. However, there's a leveling off point. I took high school chemistry years and years and years and years ago. But to this day, I remember what an electron is. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, you're going to remember something. Like, it's never going to be 0. Does that make sense? You will always remember a certain amount. Like, do you get that there's a leveling off there? Okay, that's the idea, is you're going to forget stuff, but you'll always remember something. In theory, it shouldn't be 0. Okay, so here we go. Letter A. Determine the percentage of information remembered at the moment it is first learned. If it's the moment that it is learned, then it is times 0. You would plug in 0 for X. Now you get a calculator, but let me talk you through this. All right, just watch me point to it. Anything times 0 is 0. Anything to the 0 power is 1 times 80 plus 20, 100%. The idea is that the moment you learn it, you should know all of it because you literally just learned it. That's the answer for A. Sorry, I should have labeled that A. All right, part B. Determine the amount of information remembered, bless you, after 4 weeks. Now you are going to need your calculator. I kind of just talked you through it when it was 0 because that kind of turned out to be nothing. But you're going to need to plug in, bless you, 4 for X. So you're going to plug in 4 for X. Just type this in your calculator, but put in a 4 for the X. Now it won't be 100%. This is how much you remember after 4 weeks. How much do you think you would remember after 4 weeks? But it's not ever going to be 0. Okay, jeez. Okay, I don't know what to do. How do you think that makes me feel? Okay. What is 10 plus 20? Do you get 32.8? All right, so after 4 weeks, in theory, you would remember 38.2% of what you learned. I feel like that would make sense. After 4 weeks go by, you remember roughly a third of it. There hasn't been that much time that's gone by. I feel like that makes sense. I buy that. All right. Now this one's backwards. It says if you remember 50% of the information, how much time went by? That means you're going to take this equation and set it equal to 50. Now, in this case, the percent is like kind of the units that we're using, so it would just be 50. Okay, so you're going to take this whole equation and set it equal to 50. It's the whole equation equals 50, and then we're going to solve. It's not going to be as bad as it looks, and you have a calculator. Just remember, what do you do to both sides? It's solving an equation. What do you do to both sides to solve this? Subtract 20. Good. See, you guys know what you are capable, and I believe in you. 50 minus 20, 30. We're on our way. It's just steps. What's the next step? All right, 30 divided by 80 would be 3/8. Just write 3/8. It's a fraction. I know that's scary. You're all going to be okay. Correct. It was backwards. Instead of giving us the amount of time, it gave us the like percentage we remembered, and we have to figure out the time. Now we're stuck. What's the base? 5/2. So we're going to do a log 5/2 to both sides. If you're like, but Miss Cole, that's a fraction. That's okay. It doesn't matter. It's just a number. 5/2 is a great number. Don't discriminate. What is 5/2 as a decimal, if that makes you feel better about it? You log 2.5. All right, the point is they cancel. You get negative 0.5x equals log 5/2 of 3/8. You love fractions. I know you like fractions a whole lot, so I tried to put as many as possible in this problem. I was doing that for you. I know, you're welcome. All right, and then what's your last step? And we'll put it in the calculator. Yeah, and you do that by dividing. So divide by negative 0.5. So this is what you're going to put in your calculator. Nothing to worry about. The calculator's going to do it for you. Get the fancy fraction bar. Once again, how do you do that? Alpha y equals math menu, get your log base. You got 5/2 there, 3/8 in the parentheses, and then over negative 0.5. It should look exactly the way it does on your paper. It should look just like that. Now remember what you're doing. This is how many weeks went by that you remember 50%. What was it? 4 weeks went by and we only remembered 30%. So it should be less than 4, like 2 or 3 or something like that. So how many weeks went by? All right, 2.140 weeks went by and you remember half of the information. And then what was part D? I think there was a part D for that. As time goes by, you're going to remember at least something. Like I said, it's not going to be 0. Look back at the equation. Where is this going to level off? How much percent will you remember? Why 20? And so that's where there is what? I'm looking for one very important. There you go. Asymptote. It's going to level off at 20%. So no matter what, you're going to remember probably about 20%. And I think that logically makes sense. Give yourselves a little bit more credit. And so the reason is because horizontal asymptote at y equals 20. It's going to be exactly like that on the test. I'm looking for the answer. And then you better put the word asymptote. You can abbreviate. I don't care about your spelling. But I want some vocabulary in there.